Alright, welcome back guys. Welcome back to another video on football forensics. So in today's video we will be doing the review / reaction for England nil, Scotland nil. So if this type of content does interest any of you all, please do subscribe, as I will be posting similar content for the upcoming Euros games. So anyway, with all that out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, so starting off, that was a really dreadful performance by England, wasn't it? I mean, this is a sort of an unbiased point of view, but it did seem like Scotland deserved the win much more than England, irrespective of the fact that they were the ones playing for the draw, because the way England were mucking up the chances in front of goal during the game, even before the 60th minute, it did feel like England weren't going to score unless a certain few individuals that did start for England were taken off. So anyway, let's take a look at this lineup. So the England lineup for this game had Jordan Pickford as the goalkeeper, Reece James as the right back, Luke Shaw as the left back, with the two central defenders being of course Tyrone Mings and John Stones, the two defensive midfielders being Kalvin Phillips and Declan Rice, the right midfielder being Phil Foden, the left midfielder being Raheem Sterling, with the number 10 of course being Mason Mount, and Harry Kane up front. So when I did see this lineup, I was relatively impressed. I mean, there were no players playing out of position like the previous game, so yeah, I didn't have much to complain about. And when the match did begin, England did start with a little bit of excitement, didn't they? Like the game against Croatia, they were creating a lot of chances, and the highlight of the first half for me was of course that superb header by John Stones, which sadly knocked the post. He was unmarked, and during the first 20 to 30 minutes or so, it did seem like Scotland was struggling to handle the intensity of England, but sadly, like the game against Croatia, all of that intensity did die down during the first half itself. So anyway, England went into half-time being 0-0, and it did seem like a few changes had to be made in order to try and get a result out of this game. So moving into the second half, it was very clear that the defensive partnership of Declan Rice and Kalvin Phillips, which did work so well against Croatia, was not as effective in this game, and they were getting bossed around the field by none other than Billy Gilmour, the Chelsea academy graduate. And what a performance by Billy Gilmour, a very well deserved man of the match performance by him. And yeah, within 10 minutes or so into the second half, it was very clear that an attacking change had to be made if they were to try and get a win in this game, because all of the attacking players, including Mason Mount, Phil Foden, Harry Kane and of course Raheem Sterling, were extremely poor. Mind you, Phil Foden was trying to create a lot of chances. He did seem to be the most promising out of the lot, but Raheem Sterling was really lackluster during this game. I mean, even in the Croatian game, he was struggling a little bit. He did manage to score, but that of course was by that superb assist by Kalvin Phillips. But other than that, he seemed a little bit out of place in that England lineup in the previous time around as well. But he seemed to be even worse in this game, and it absolutely baffled me as to why he was allowed to play the 90 minutes of the game. So anyway, around the 63rd minute or so, we finally see England's most informed player, and the player the crowd was basically crying out for, Jack Grealish, coming onto the pitch. And everybody was expecting him to be substituted for a defensive midfielder, either Declan Rice or Kalvin Phillips or Raheem Sterling. Nobody expected him to be changed for Phil Foden, who was arguably the most effective player for England in the attack, as he was the one trying at least to create a few chances. But anyway, it was understandable, as you know, it was a like-for-like substitution, and from the moment Jack Grealish did come onto the pitch, it did seem a little bit more promising for England, but sadly it did not amount to anything. And the other substitution that was made was of course Marcus Rashford for Harry Kane, which also did seem fair, mainly due to the fact that Marcus Rashford has a hell of a lot of pace compared to Harry Kane. However, because of the way Scotland was defending, because of their very deep back line, Marcus Rashford was very ineffective, and as a result, of course, the game ended 0-0. So in conclusion, it was a very poor performance by England. They did dominate possession, but they failed to do anything with that possession. So the really worrying thing from an England fans perspective is, if they did struggle this much against Scotland, how would they fare against the bigger teams in this tournament, such as France and Portugal and even Germany? So if England are to genuinely pose a title threat during the Euros, Gareth Southgate will have to rapidly improve his tactics, and also the England players will have to try and work on their final third, finishing in particular, to try and pose a threat to these big teams. So anyway, that is my review / reaction of the game against Scotland. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Do drop a like if you did find it useful. Stay safe, and of course I will catch you guys in the next one.